Welcome, Spark. So what kind of Spark are you? Player? Creator? Or both? The stories yet to be told. The games to be made. Civilizations and societies to be formed. The universe is waiting for you to bring it to life. Now, how do we begin?
And hello and welcome!
Hey everybody.
So we are doing another education stream, Multibrains Part 2. You got Brian here, and then you got Zack Attack.
Yo.
I don't know why. When I was like, I'm going to introduce you, it's like, Zack Attack kept on coming to mind.
That's okay.
Let's just
it's not the first time I've heard that, surprisingly.
Really?
Yeah, I know.
So let us know if audio is sounding good. We want to make sure you guys can hear us because that's incredibly important for this. Here's what we're going to cover part 2 of Multibrains. We're going to cover brain variables, get brain and sense brain, turning off channels, detecting when brains are turned off, and then bringing it all together in our main player.
It's a lot to cover in an hour.
Yes, I know. All right, well, let's start out by showing kind of what the end product will look like.
Again, this will be up on YouTube, so if you ever lose it, if you lose the thread here, which might happen, feel free, go to the YouTube channel, ask questions on the YouTube comments. We'll both be free to answer any kind of questions you have.
Yep. All right, so I have my character here that he has, if you look on the bottom left-hand side, he has kind of 4 different special attacks. And all of them, he does them when I press Y. So I'm actually just creating these brains and adding them to the same channel, so the one replaces the next or the same slot. So I have kind of a nice array of stuff, but now he's only stuck in one of his attacks. Well, so that one's interesting. So he's probably, I have it set so when I go to attack number 4, he doesn't reset the other ones.
Yeah.
Anyways,
sounds about right. We will fix that.
Yeah, we will fix that during code, but I can show off the other attacks. So I have my goblins here, and then I have this cool little primer attack where I hit one of these goblins, and when it is highlighted purple, then I attack it with my lightning attack, and I shrink it. And he's a little tiny goblin now. So when he gets hurt, he gets shrunk. And the other ones have been hurt, but they haven't been hit by the primer, so we hit those. Now one of them has been hit by the primer. I attack him, and he's shrunken now too.
So you're able to push a brain onto these guys that lets them know if they've been hit by this other attack, which is really nice.
Yeah, exactly. And then certain things happen with that. And we are even going to go more complicated, more complex as we get further into this. So that's a basic setup. Also, I have last thing to show off here. So I have this little, basically, let's just quote-unquote call this a town. So I go into my town, and when I walk in, I can no longer attack. I'm doing my X attack, I'm doing my Y attack. Nothing's happening. Then I leave the town, and it adds my attacks back. So now I can attack again and do all those attacks.
Right.
So, yeah. Let's cover all of these things. Let's get rid of this guy's brain. I'm going to have to go back and figure out what I did wrong with number 4. I think I know what I did wrong with number 4.
Good. It's a good place to start.
I feel like I should probably do this at a later time. Yeah, that's what I did wrong. See, live on stream, I can fix an issue that was done before stream. Usually we're actually making lots of issues on stream and then having to fix them later. Okay, so I have my my kind of player without all that stuff added right here. The only thing he can do is run around. First thing we're going to do is we are going to go ahead and use brain variables and have him add those brains. So, a brain variable, what does it look like? So I'm using this logic cube to set some global variables. So let's go into this logic cube. And here's what a brain variable might look like. You're setting this brain variable that I'm calling global fly. It's equal to this logic cube in the world, get brain, and that just signifies that you're getting the brain inside of this.
Right.
And then that brain is equal to the global fly brain variable.
This could easily be an object, right? Could be an object call too. Could be global fly object equals this object.
Right, exactly.
Just think of it as like a number or an object or a text variable. They're all the same stuff, and this one we just happen to be getting a brain.
Yeah. So I guess the best way to think about brain variables is when you create a brain variable. So right here, we've created this brain variable called global fly, and it's equal to this logic cube right here, fly, and this is just using the default third-person flight brain. Right. So I just am bringing that into a brain here. So I had just added that line. It's just simply you go over here to values, go over a page, you'll see brain, and now you can add in create your brain variable, whatever you want. So I called it fly, and then I set that to be equal to let's find in-world picker. Do that. And then you want to specify get brain because a brain variable can't be equal to an object because that's an object you're talking about. It has to be equal to an object's brain, and that's how you.
And the reason that's important for us is because brains, if you'll remember, can fit into slots and channels. So if you say just that object could have any number of brains. Mm-hmm. So you don't know which variable you want. Get brain, right now Brian's using it. He's not using any channel or slot information, so it just assumes the default.
We can actually do that, though. You can actually specify where you only want fly to be equal to a channel inside of this brain.
But we'll skip that for now. Yeah, but that's why when you use get brain, it's not just some random thing you have to use. It defaults as certain default values, but you will always need those values.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like every time you're creating a new one of these brain variables, it's like you're saving that brain to an in-game brain gallery. So most people are aware of the fact that you go into options, brain options, you go to brain gallery, and we have this brain gallery out here for you to bring in brains, kind of plug and play, save brains in here. So think of brain variables as you have this in-world kind of happening at that time brain gallery that you can at any point during the game you can change and reference and update, and you are adding these brain variables there. The other useful thing about brains is that you can pull in a brain's name, its slots, its channel name, and set those to be different variables or set those to be whatever. So you can call all of that info as well. So we just have this right here. And I'm actually going to just locally call that, just so you see what that looks like. So we're gonna say brain variable fly equals in-world picker flight brain get brain. So now I want to add that brain to my player. I want that to be his movement. So let's just say when Y is pressed, then I will push brain fly. And I believe I actually set fly as inactive. Let's see. Yeah, brain is active equals false. So let's also just, because that brain is in the world, so I will also just have to simply say activate brain. So when I press Y, then it pushes this fly brain onto me, and then I activate that brain. So we go into test. So I'm walking around, doing all this stuff. I hit Y, and then now I can fly around. I have that brain inside of me, and I'm not just calling that brain, I'm calling that brain variable. So you might be thinking, well, I could have just easily done that by pushing the brain from the brain gallery where I didn't have to set a brain variable. So why is that useful? And the thing that can make it useful is you can update brains while things are happening. So I have this variable changer right here. And what we're simply going to do is we are going to say after 2 seconds, that global fly brain, so let's actually change this because he is referencing a local version. So we're just going to say push brain. Oh, you know what? I didn't even use that. Oops. All right.
So you could use. So how about we do? So you referenced the object.
Yeah, I accidentally referenced the object instead of the variable I set up for the object. It does the same thing though.
Right. So you can see. You want to just run that real quick to show that it works as well.
Yeah. Let me get rid of this variable changer though.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
I'll just ignore a line. That's funny. Okay, so I hit Y, and then so just like before, I'm actually now using the brain variable instead of the object. So yay for that.
So now you're adding a brain based on a brain variable inside the world.
Yes.
And that's cool because of the next thing we can do, right?
Exactly. So we got this variable changer. And we are just going to say, after 2 seconds, the global fly brain is now equal to this brain. The only thing happening in this brain is it's highlighting you. That's the only thing that's actually happening. So we'll go in here and walk around the world. We're going to wait 2 seconds, and then I'm going to hit Y, and then you will see what happens this time. So I hit Y, and now I'm just highlighted. I can't move. I have nothing else happening in me. He was just highlighted for 2 seconds.
And then the brain deactivated.
Right.
Right, exactly. So now you can see we can change our behaviors, especially on the character. So usually what a lot of this is used for. We can change our behaviors based on certain things. In this instance, it was time. It could be us being in a town like you had.
Mm-hmm.
But now we're able to change what we have our character do in real time by pointing to different things using this brain variable.
Yeah, exactly. And the last thing to show you is, so in this brain, I'm just setting once this global fly is equal to fly. So I just get rid of this. I still have my variable changer. So at 2 seconds, it's going to make the global fly equal to that brain. But then I have this running constantly, so it'll update it again. So let's just run this. This is not performant. Don't do this at home. But we waited 2 seconds, so we hit it again, and I can fly again. Right. So you can kind of... the great thing is you can update a brain variable to be anything, and so you can just basically have a person running a brain all throughout your game and just simply update what that brain variable actually is, like what's inside that brain.
Right.
And he's just running that. He's just running that brain variable. So that's kind of the start of brain variables. I'll actually show you it in use, how it can actually be very useful for you because we use it quite a bit in the final setup.
Also really great for like attack combos. Like you were kind of using it here, right? But imagine you have a combo on a global combo, right? You press a move, the combo is now 2, and you can change all these brains that do different moves based on that number, and you can proceed through a combo that way. That's a kind of a way that we use brains around here as well.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm actually going to reactivate my original player again. I'm going to cheat a bit by, he has lots of code inside of him that I've, this is actually something, I'm working on these mechanics. These are like really early in progress mechanics for a game I'm working on, so you guys get to see that. But anyways, we're going to use him as a guinea pig to show you what get brain is and what sensed brain is. So let's go back and let's again show you. Oops, I forgot to turn his brain back on. So let's go in and let's show you again this primer idea. This idea of I go up to these goblins, I shoot these poison clouds. They get these when they get highlighted purple. That means they have the primer on them. Then I switch over to my lightning attack and I attack them, and then they shrink. So that's the simple idea, and that's using get brain in order to utilize that. So let's walk you through how that's happening. So what I have here is I have a character with 4 different attacks. So his third attack is the one that fires the poison clouds, and his second attack, that's the electricity attack. So what happens when he fires the poison clouds is let's see, what do I have here? So this is the thing that's being added. Basically, the enemies are having this brain added to them. This brain that I'm just calling primed because they're primed for, the next thing to happen. And
nice base coat of purple
right,
on
it's in here. Because this is the poison cloud. That's actually so. This poison cloud, what it's looking for is this poison cloud is kind of sweeping through the world. And then its creator's enemies, and you're the creator of it, when they have started to be closer than 3, you start damaging them. And then also the first one, you add this primed brain on it to channel 1, slot 1. Again, you can set channels and slots where you're kind of slotting this brain into. We really cover that in depth part 1, so watch part 1 if you're confused about channels and slots.
And if you want the default slot, this is just a small aside.
Right.
You set 1 and 1 here. That's technically not the default slot. The default slot is space and space. So they're able to keep their normal brains.
Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly. Although if I were to just get rid of this, right, like that, then it's going to add this to the default channel slot number 2, probably.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and add that back in because I actually have to reference that. So we're adding this brain to... All right, so again, the basic idea is this goblin's hit by this attack. It's having this brain added to channel 1, slot 1 of it.
So push brain will deactivate all brains that are active on the object that you're using. So if you're using push brain, they're all deactivated.
If you push a brain to a channel, you quote unquote remove all the other brains from running in that channel. They're still there technically. They've just been, as Zach said, they've been deactivated. If you pop brain, they'll come back in though.
Exactly.
So this is the primed logic cube. What it's doing is I'm using a brain variable because I need to use brain variables to reference this. So I'm simply setting this local brain variable called primed, and it's equal to this brain. And you can find this brain if you go into brains, Multibrains. You'll find this brain as an option. It's the only thing that happens on this page is the enemy's highlighted purple, and when that enemy has its health less than 15, switch to the next page where it's just highlighted red. So those are the only two things happening. We have 2 pages here. We have first page purple, second page red.
You can see we're now using these brains. When we start doing this multi-brain, when we start doing brain variables and we start switching these in real time, these brains get more simple in this one specific thing you want them to do, and then you start using a lot of them, right? Mm-hmm. So you don't have these really long, like 100-page lines anymore. You have like a brain that's like this one, quite small, but has a pretty nice effect, and it's done in 4 lines, and you can push it onto any enemy. So it keeps it modular, and it keeps it separated. And let's say, oh, I don't like how it looks purple anymore. We could change it to red. Like, it keeps everything very modular and changeable.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so if you remember, again, let's just quickly go back in the test. So I have my poison cloud. I'm firing it. It's hitting that first enemy, and that first enemy, it's applying that primed effect onto it. And now if you remember, I have to switch to my attack number 2, which is lightning attack, use it, and then that enemy is shrinked. And you'll notice the one who's not highlighted, he doesn't shrink. Only the one who's highlighted purple will shrink. So how does it know that that one is highlighted purple? Now you might do, say, a Boolean or something, or look for some other variables, but you can do all that with just get brain and sense brain. So we have our attack number 2 here, and let's kind of walk you through the code here. So we go down here, and what it's looking for is this is the line, this is the code where you need to have stuff. So it's once the enemy is damaged, it evaluates that enemy's current brains running. And right here, it does something if it gets this enemy's brain and the enemy does in fact have that brain. So get brain is basically looking for if a brain is running on an enemy. Or any object actually.
Right. So let's walk through lines. Let's say 18 through 19 even, just so we understand what we're calling it on. Yeah.
So in this specific attack, I just have it. So after 18 frames, after I'm like 18 frames into my attack, that's when any enemy who's closer than 2 meters gets damaged by 10 points.
So for each enemy that is closer than 2 meters is it. So pretty much, for every enemy, we're about to call something. That's what it is.
Yes, exactly.
So damage all of the things in 2 meters of my enemy, 10. And then all of those things that we just damaged 10, we now want to check the brain.
So here's what it looks like. So you want to start out, you need to call what you're getting the brain from. So we're getting their brain from it. Now you can also call, say, an in-world object. In this case, it wouldn't make any sense. But if, for instance, you want to specifically say, like, when this door... look for if this door has this brain, whatever. In this case, though, we are actually looking for, does the enemy I'm calling it, let's get its brain, and we're looking for the primed brain. We want to make sure it has the primed brain. So we locally saved primed on that enemy. So you want to say get brain it, and let's go over to values. Let's go to brain it primed, because it's not a global variable, it's its specific variable, so you need to call its specific variable. And then we added that to channel 1. Now, adding channels is optional. You don't need to do that. This will actually evaluate, if you don't add a channel, this will evaluate basically every channel currently in that character to see if it has that brain called primed.
Right.
But in this case, we did specifically add it to channel 1, so we're going to follow that because that just makes it easier.
So let's walk through this as if this was not a brain, right? So let's assume you're a little confused because we're dealing with brains here. Mm-hmm. We could also evaluate this as this goblin you've just damaged. Mm-hmm. Instead of get brain, we could say it's let's say creator, right? Get whatever created the goblin. Let's say there's a goblin spawner in the world. So it's creator, then the goblin creators, we could say number instead of primed. Mm-hmm. Right? So we're just calling these objects that are referenced in other objects. It's a little nested, but you get the idea. So goblin, we could easily say get its variable name, let's say an object called goblin spawner, and then on that goblin spawner we want a number instead of primed. So it's just it's 2 calls in to find this brain. And then we say this specific channel is something unique to brains, where brains have channels and slots that we want to specify as well.
Mm-hmm. So this is now looking for, it's evaluating, does this goblin who has been hurt, does it have this brain that I'm calling primed on that goblin? If so, let's do something. Let's do something special if it does have that. And so what we're going to do special is we are going to say that its scale is equal to basically half of its scale, and I just like to do it this way. You could just simply say scale equals 0.5, but I prefer doing scale multiplied by...
Wow, not even divided. You like those extra...
0.5.
You like those extra... those extra steps.
Oh, yes. Right, you would have just done scale divided by 2, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I always love to multiply stuff by decimal points.
That's fair.
Weird. I'm weird like that.
Okay.
So I also had a little sound effect that plays, and then I have like extra different damages that happen. So I play this void explosion FX, and then I play a void impact effects, and those are just both played on it. So if it has this thing, these 4 lines are now going to run. If it doesn't have that brain, if that brain is not in that goblin, these 4 lines that I've just added right here will not run on that goblin.
Absolutely.
So regular goblins, that's why their scale didn't decrease, but the goblins that did have the primer, they did decrease. So now I can get rid of this because it is duplicative. So I'll just run through it again. It's the same thing that we were testing before, but it'll just show you again in practice. So we hit that goblin. Let's go over to it. Let's attack, and then I forgot to set it, so I got shrunken. That's pretty funny. So make sure this is a good example of like checking your code when you're referencing it. You want to make sure you actually are applying things to it. So let's just say its scale is equal to its scale multiplied by... Oh, right, that's why. Okay, this will actually now shrink it every time you hit it. So it'll get smaller and smaller and smaller.
Indeed, as long as it has the primed brain on it.
Yeah. So let's just do this again. Let's go in here. Let's attack them. And now let's... Bam. So he's tiny, and I can make him tinier now. Little tiny guy. He's like this little ant guy. That's pretty awesome. That's pretty cool. And then I make him even tinier.
I think that's the tiniest as he gets.
I think so. Yeah. I think that's actually too tiny for the next thing I want to show. So let's just actually scale multiplied by let's say 0.75. Okay, so now sensed brain. So we have called this, we are evaluating if this guy has this brain. And now we can say when let's see, where is SenseBrain? I will just have to. Is that a output?
SenseBrain, there you go.
Yeah, but I don't. Where do? Oh yeah, output. There we go. Yeah, so it's in the output folder. All right, so we now have this SenseBrain tile, and what this is basically looking for is this is a readable. It's calling every single thing happening in that brain, and it's evaluating what's happening in that brain. So when SenseBrain, so this is just basically taking every line of code, every variable running in that brain, looking through it and saying, all right, what do you want to know about what's running in this brain?
Absolutely.
So what we want to know, specifically, this brain has 2 pages. It's got a first page where highlighted purple, he's got regular health. When his health is less than 15, he's highlighted red. So he actually has 2 pages running. So we can use that to our advantage by using SenseBrain. So we go over here, and now we can say when SenseBrain current page is equal to 1, then he shrinks and he plays this sound effect, which is like a high-pitched sound effect. Now we can say when SenseBrain current page is equal to 2, its scale actually increases. So let's say that you increase it by itself times 1.5.
Yeah.
And another fun thing I like to do is let's set its physics type to be equal to tumbling.
Okay. Well, that will be silly.
Yeah, exactly. That will be silly. So again, SenseBrain is looking at every single thing that's running on that brain. It's only reading it. It's not able to write anything onto that brain, but it's reading every single thing running on the brain. And so one of the things that I'm telling it to read here is, all right, you're reading everything happening on the brain. What page is that brain on? Is it on page 1? Okay, cool. It's on page 1. Do this thing. That brain is now on page 2. Okay, cool. Do this thing. What you could do also here is you could say, like, when SenseBrain, like Boolean, say like when alerted, a Boolean alerted is equal to true, do this thing. When that brain's alerted is equal to false, do this other thing. So you're basically calling in whatever it's running on that brain. But here we're just looking for what page that brain is on.
Right. And so Mescad said, is this like equal to it for brains? Very close. The cool thing about SenseBrain is it lets you know channel and slot, which you can't get from it. So it has to be called via SenseBrain.
Right, exactly. And I forgot to do it. Here, I would have set my physics type to be tumbling.
Yes.
Whoops. Okay, so let's go back in here. Let's fire here. All right, so I got my first guy. He's primed. He's ready. Let's shrink him. Bam, you're shrunken. Let's shrink you again. Bam, you're shrunken again.
So once he's going to be red and you hit him with a lightning bolt, that's how we'll be able to tell.
Yeah, all right, so now he's red. So that means he has he's small again. So he's increased, and I killed him.
Oh, you killed him.
I think I need to...
the system at work.
Yeah. So let's...
You could just increase his max health.
Yeah, exactly. So let's prime this guy. All right, cool. So he's red now. So let's hit him again. And now he's tumbling. He's a bit bigger. He'll just continue to try and get towards me as this weird sideways guy. And now I can put him out of his misery. Bam.
There you go.
And he's doing a handstand, and he's dead. So I'm able to... technically, yes, there are many ways you could have done this. I was able to do something that would have taken me a bunch of different variables and probably extra lines of code in one line of code here, one line of code there, and one line of code asking for SenseBrain.
And again, this will work on any enemy, right? It'll work on anything that is your enemy. You can scope it much easier by adding these brains. You can change the context a lot easier. You could have it happen only on certain levels, have it only at certain times, have it only on certain places. It's a lot easier to control when this stuff goes on when we start using these brains in slots. Yes. And the slot title is kind of indicative for when you start using brains this way. You're slotting in abilities and you're slotting in things that you might want to take out later, or you want and you didn't want before. So you're constantly moving these behaviors in and out of these objects in brain slots.
Yeah, exactly. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to put this all together. All the stuff that was running on this guy was done through Multibrains. So we are going to put this all together on this guy so you can see how I made it up. So I'm just going to run through. These are kind of the logic cubes I set up. So he has a move logic cube. He's got a jump. He's got a dodge. Those are all I consider their movement types. Then he has a fall. I believe that's actually movement type 2. So he has fall damage. Mm-hmm. He has a regular attack. He has a slam attack, which actually never showed off. Oops. Shoot.
Keep it a surprise. It'll be cool.
I did it wrong. I did a boo-boo. I deleted that. So let's just okay, cool. That's still good. So he has a slam attack, and then he has a UI brain, and then he has his 4 special attacks here. So we're gonna just go through step by step how I added that into this guy by adding it into our new guy. So I just find this is like a really nice, easy way to segment a person's brains that are running by using Multibrains. So we're going to first start out by using all of his movement brains. So his default move, we're going to add brain default move. We're going to add a 2-channel. I'm going to call this channel move. I believe I have that here. Yeah, channel movement.
So by adding all these brains to a single channel, we could say at one point, let's say we want to get this guy in a web. Can't move around anymore. You say everything in channel stop moving, or everything deactivate all of the brains in movement.
Exactly.
Organizing your brains like this helps you to remove, like I said again, slot in different behaviors.
Yeah, exactly. And so what I'm doing is I'm adding all of these to the movement channel because they're all movement types, and this allows me to activate, deactivate slots, activate, deactivate channels, whatever I want to do. And the last one is fall. And we are going to, let's see, movement, move, jump, dodge, fall is 4.
And this doesn't have to pad your prop count if you save all of these into your saved brains and then instantiate them on objects and then move those into...
Because I could instead say add brain, go to gallery, and then I have move right here. And then that would add the move brain.
Right.
But I think that's actually a different move brain, so so it's not this move brain. So I only do that as last step, though. Make sure you have finalized all the mechanics of your brains before adding them to the brain gallery, so you don't have to save them over again.
Right.
This actually is very performant, though, if you are calling brains from a brain gallery. What that means is you don't have these extra logic cubes that have detect and sensors and things like that have brains running. You're pulling directly from brain gallery. So if you're adding a bunch of brains from the brain gallery as your final setup, it definitely helps a lot with performance. Especially if you're working on a very complex game and you're looking for anything that helps you with performance, that's one thing that definitely helps. Is adding a brain from the brain gallery will help a lot more than adding a brain from in-world somewhere. Just a little pro tip there. So we're moving along. We're going to add in the default attack, and we're going to change the channel. We have an attack channel. We are going to set this to slot number 1 in the attack channel. Then we are going to add the brain slam attack. We are going to have it in the attack channel and add it to slot number 2 there. And then we are going to add a final brain. We have UI, right? So UI, I'm going to set a separate UI channel in case I need to turn the UI on and off at certain points. I'm just going to say slot 1. Then we have a third attack here. Special attack number 1, I'm going to start by adding that to channel attack to slot number 3. Now, what I have in my setup is basically my... when I hit a certain direction on the D-pad, I change the my Y attack, because my Y attack is my kind of special attack. So what I can simply do here is also, let's bring this in here, when I hit left on the D-pad, when my Y attack is equal to 1, I add in my attack brain to channel attack slot number 3. That replaces what is in that slot. So it would just, in this case, it would replace itself because it starts with attack 1. But here, I instead add attack 2 to channel attack slot number 3 when my Y attack is equal to 2 and I hit up on the D-pad. And then that replaces my attack 1 with attack 2. I do the same thing with attack 3 and 4. So when I hit right on the D-pad and Y attack is equal to 3, and I'm just referencing this in the UI, then the current special attack I have is my special attack 3. And then finally, when I hit down on the D-pad and my Y attack is 4, then I add my 4th attack. And then let's just make sure this guy's brain is active. It's not. And let's just make sure this guy's brain has been turned off. It has. Okay. So, back here we have my UI. We're able to switch, do all my fancy attacks. This is my favorite one, the Luck of the Irish Slam. These are all big works in progress still. So now I can move around. I have my super jump and my slam attack. So I got all these nice things. Let's attack these guys. I got my primer still, so I hit him. He's shrunken. Hit him again. He's shrunken even more. Hit him again. Let's hit him another time. Oh, come on. He's too tiny. He's like knocked out of the way. There we go. All right, now. Oh, that killed
You gotta melee him a little.
Yeah, I know. So I added all that stuff. That's all cool. So the next thing, though, is I showed at the very beginning walking in and out of this town. Mm-hmm. So let me, should I ignore this first? No, I'll talk through this. All right, so this is where you can, deactivating brains and setting up brains and channels becomes really useful. So in my town, I want to be able to walk around, right, interact with people, but I don't want to be able to attack people, right? Because that kind of breaks the immersion wall. If you can just attack a villager, nothing happens to the villager, because if you kill that villager, then they can't sell stuff. So you just want to keep your player from being able to attack when he's in a village. So here, let's go here, right. I have saved all of my attacks to this channel called attack. Mm-hmm. The only thing I need to do is when I am entering this village, so I'm entering this door, the door powers on, and then the guy who enters it, it deactivates its brain channel attack. And that specifies this attack channel and says, all the brains running in this channel, you deactivate. Right. We will get to that later. And let's remove this. And then I currently have it only set up so like you have one entrance, one exit. You can change this up. I just was in a rush, so you have to walk through here and you get your attack channel deactivated. You walk through here and it reactivates your attack channel. So what that means is we walk over here. So let's just first, before we walk in here, got my attack, got my special attack, all that's running fine and dandy. So let's walk in here. And I'm hitting X, no attack is happening. I'm hitting Y, no attack is happening. So that's all looking good. But I set up my brains so that when I hit a direction on the D-pad, it adds in a new brain. So let's hit up on the D-pad. I can now do this attack again. I can now do this special attack, even though I deactivated that channel. I still can't do my X attack, but I've added this new brain to the channel that hasn't been deactivated. So I can go through and I can, now all of my attacks can happen again, because I have those special attacks where I'm switching between them, like when I'm hitting on the D-pad or what have you. I walk back through here and I have my regular attack back, and then I have all my special attacks. So how do you deactivate that? Well, in order to do that, you want to actually, the best way to do it is to call back some brain variables. So here's how I set it up.
Yeah, let's see.
All right, let's go all the way down to this special attack 1. When I add a brain, here's how you can kind of save on some lines of code. Let's go over to values. Let's go to brains. We're going to call this brain variable special attack equals add brain attack 1 to channel. And this actually, add brain, is a shortcut. You don't need to use get brain or this brain or anything. And the really nice thing is if anyone has ever experimented with brain variables, let's just show you what I mean here. So you have a brain variable. Let's just say the fly brain variable equals, you go over here to objects, and then you will see, hey, I can't get to the brain gallery. How can I make fly equal to a brain in the brain gallery? So brain variables are meant to be equal to things running in the world, but you can be tricky and add a brain from the brain gallery to the world and immediately assign that to be equal to a brain variable. And that's sort of what you can do here. So special attack equals add brain. Go over here, you can go to your brain gallery again. And you can add like third person bird flight, say. And then it adds that brain. And it adds that brain, but the thing is, that brain will run on that character it's just been added to. So
right, and so this is much like if you're familiar with casting an object whilst creating it, right? When you say like this create, or let's say goblin spawner equals create goblin spawner from my gallery at X position, right? You have an object. You have that object equal to the act of creating that object. This is the same thing we're doing with these brains here. You have a brain variable. You have that brain variable equal to the act of creating this brain.
Exactly. So this brain variable is now being equal to this added brain. We're going to do the same thing where we add it to channel attack and do slot number 3. And then we want to do the same thing here. So we're just going to say special attack is equal. So every time I kind of add a new one of these attacks, I'm going to make special attack is equal to that. So basically, no matter what, my special attack, whatever it is, whenever I switch between all of my brains, it's always going to be equal to that brain variable called special attack. Now, the nice thing is because basically special attack is always going to be equal to my special attack here, and it runs like it did before. When I go into this village, I can specifically call that brain variable called special attack when I'm in this village. I haven't done it yet, but right now I can use this, so I can specifically say deactivate that brain variable called special attack. And so let's go back over to this door here, and we are going to say it deactivate brain special attack, and then we go over here and say it activate brain special attack. Now, I actually haven't tested this because there's another step that needs to be done, so I don't know how well this is going to run. This should hopefully have issues, though. If it doesn't have any issues, then I guess I just found a shortcut. But so we go in here, and yes, okay, good. So I can't move.
So you deactivated every single brain.
Yes, exactly.
Because deactivate brain special attack doesn't really tell it much. What it tells deactivate brain is default slot default channel. So it grabs every single brain on that object.
Instead, what you want to do is special attack brain is active is equal to false. And now that's just deactivate brain is evaluating everything until you point it at something, but pointing it at a brain variable doesn't really do it too much good.
And that's why sensed brain would be a good thing to use here, because you can't give it a variable, because a brain variable does not contain a channel and it doesn't contain a slot.
Yes, exactly. So what you can independently do is just look at that brain itself and set it to be active or inactive, and then you go over here. We should be able to open this again, and you can still run, and you can't do your attack, but you'll notice wait, I changed and I can still do my attack. How is that possible? So, because there's one other thing that needs to be done here. So you keep on adding a brain, and as soon as that brain well, the brain is only made inactive this one time. Mm-hmm. So it only initially makes that brain inactive. You actually, whenever you're adding a brain in, that will reactivate itself. So this is where you can detect if a brain has been turned on or off. And you need to, the best way to do it is by setting it as a brain variable. Because now we can just say when special attack, let's go over brains, brain is active, then do that. So when special attack, brain is active, then you add this new brain and reset what special attack is. So this extra little value right here is always looking for when this brain is active, then you can add the next brain on. If it's not active, don't run this line, don't add the next brain. And we'll jump into test again, and what we'll see is, go in here, can't do my attack, I switch brains, and look, can't do any attack, no matter what. So I exit again, and the last kind of interesting thing is I'm on actually attack number 3, but I'm doing my attack number 1. And then as soon as I switch, I'm back to my regulars. So like, there's just one extra line of code that I guess I will do just to make it run 100% properly, is just to kind of bring back, that is as soon as started to special attack, brain is active. So as soon as it's activated again, then I'll just evaluate where whatever number my Y attack is equal to, then I'm just going to add back in that brain that should be added there. So just quickly do this here. When Y attack is equal to 2, then you add brain number 2. That was the wrong one. When Y attack is equal to 3.
Then we'll go down, add all these attacks.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so this is a really great way to kind of slot in these skills, right? And we're using this based on a trigger volume. We could do this based on flight. We could do this based on if you're in the air, if you're swimming. All these things can change.
Right, exactly, exactly.
It's also another great way to do store UI if you're feeling a little...
Yeah, it's actually really great for stores.
Yeah.
So now we go back in here, and everything should run beautifully. So I can attack, cool. Just wait for him to despawn his thing. Okay, cool. So let's go back in here, into the village area, can't attack. Nothing happens. So now I walk back out, and I should be firing my poison clouds, and bam, look at that, I'm firing my poison clouds.
Lovely.
So this is all done based on the power of Multibrains.
What a power it is.
Yeah. Alright, so we have 10 more minutes left. So since we do have the extra time, I can go a bit more into GetBrain and kind of show, like, really delve into it.
Also a great time for questions if anyone has...
Oh yeah, that's true. Ask questions. We'll get to those. I think probably most people are interested in GetBrain because that's kind of a new thing. So I just wanted to show sort of like the differences, what happens here. So I'm getting the brain primed. These goblins also have another brain running in them. They have just the default enemy brain running in them. So you go to like Brain Gallery and you have, where is it? Enemy brain. You have that running in all these goblins. So what I can do is, let's just show you kind of what happens when I go here, and instead of getting the brain primed, then it is getting the brain enemy brain. So what happens when you're evaluating if this enemy has the brain enemy brain? And actually you don't need to say it's enemy brain. Well, enemy brain only has one page, and it doesn't need to have that primer active. So that means that no matter if you've hit the enemies or not, they will now shrink. So I haven't hit any of these enemies, and they've all shrunken. But they won't. There's no page 2 on these enemy brains, so these enemies will never become tumbling or regrow. They'll just get smaller and smaller.
Right.
And then I kind of killed the final one. So it still works. It's evaluating a different brain though. So that's where you can get. That's where evaluating whatever brain you're evaluating gets kind of important. So let's see, what else did I have that we could look at? And then like what happens if you're just looking for a brain it just doesn't have at all? So let's just say like when it doesn't have the 2D side-scroller brain. If it has a 2D side-scroller brain, then it gets shrunken. And lo and behold, these enemies do not have the 2D side-scroller brain running in them. Therefore, nothing will happen to them.
Right, and also you can say like, does it have this brain? No, then do this. Yes, then do this. So you could have something that like, okay, if I hit an enemy, I light it on fire. Oh, is it not an enemy? Don't light it on fire.
Yeah, exactly.
Or specific brain stuff.
Oh yeah, that would actually be really useful. Just like if it has the default enemy brain, then it actually gets damaged. If not, it doesn't get damaged, right?
Right, exactly. And that way you can have different enemy types as well, right? Things can be enemies, but maybe they have a brain that is the, I don't know, scarecrow brain, and only people with the scarecrow brain can be lit on fire. Stuff like this.
Alright, so when you add brains via the brain gallery, you lose automatic resource detection you'd get if your brain on objects in the world.
Yes, I was hoping someone would ask this. Okay, Brian.
Yes.
We're going to do what we were talking about. I think it was today. So what do you do when you have brains and you want to get very specific things and you don't want to use assemblies? The answer to this is names. So have your brain look for specific names. That's one way you can do it. So every object you can grab the name of, and you can simply go say, may I?
Yeah.
Oh man, that's right. You're gonna make me use a controller. Okay.
Oh no, you can use keyboard mouse. It's okay. You can clack away. People have actually, we haven't, because Tom and I are both controller users. People have gotten they've been sad that they don't hear much keyboard clacking these days anymore.
You're welcome, everyone. Okay, so you can say all objects, or first we'll do for each of. For each of, and then all objects, and then add something down here. Insert that, do it over, it, name, equal.
But I will say though, for each of all objects is very not performant.
Well, you only have to go through it once though.
Oh yeah, that's true. You probably want to just say once though.
You probably want to say once.
If you're looking for each of all objects every single frame, that is a very performant thing to do, or a very imperformant thing to do.
Yeah, come on in.
Hey.
So you could do here once, right? And you could say,
hey guys.
Insert.
You're gonna poke my head in at the end.
Ugh. Yeah.
Probably don't want to be in such a small room with me.
Oh yeah, Thomas has some form of the Seattle plague, I believe.
Rough. Then we could say, grab our object here, new object variable.
Why not? It's called awesome.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So now we could say.
Did you just equate awesome with yourself?
No, that would be much too egotistical. I would never do that. First thing that came to mind is weird. So that means the first time I'll go through every object in the world, and the thing that it has this name is equal to Zach, I'll have the object awesome equal it.
Sorry, someone just said in chat, if you do for each of all objects do create it, that's performant, I bet.
I don't think so. If that loop, that'd be pretty funny to see.
Oh my god. It would be the death of the universe.
Yeah.
Right, so anyway, sorry, go ahead.
So there you go. That is a good way to reference stuff. So using names is good. You can have objects obviously on themselves set either numbers or strings, or which we use as text variables. You can have them set globals that you can grab from.
Yep.
This is all stuff you can do. This name stuff, though, is pretty great. Use this more, I guess.
Yeah, seriously.
These 4 lines, or these 4 tiles in conjunction, for each of all objects it name.
I know. So many people
really
don't
good.
use the name tile. The name tile is so awesome. It's because it's able to store, and like it's able to read the name of any object, and you can set your own names for objects. So like I could have called Attack 2 Zach. I could have just renamed that Zach, and now this would actually work because it would make that logic cube that I've called Zach equal to awesome.
So there you go. That's one way you can do it. Obviously, you can save assemblies and keep all of those in-game things and plop it down into different worlds if you want.
Yep.
You could have another thing. This is kind of a slight tangent, but getting really deep dive on the names. You could have my okay. Oh, can I not set my own name?
I don't think you can write names.
No, I think you may be right.
Names aren't writable, only readable.
Let's see. Yeah, I think it can only display.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
There you go. So there you go. That is the dealie. So that's a good way to do it if you have a unique name. Or if you have one object of all names, like coins, you could have every single coin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we are at the hour.
Did you guys get through the Multibrains stuff already?
Yep.
Whoa, you guys flew through that.
Flew through that is subjective.
Stumbled, clawed.
Well, I mean, in order to understand the magnitude and everything associated with Multibrains, people would have to watch our first 1 hour tutorial. Now this 1 hour tutorial. So it may seem complex, but we just want to, hopefully we explained everything as much as we could. Yes, that's how you can do it. Right. Yeah, that's how you can write a name, is you just make a text variable called name.
So you could, and this is the crazy part. Get ready for craziness. My name equals position.
Oh, this is the solution we came up with for how I could spawn coins in my world that did not respawn when I reset my world. Yeah.
Plus name. That way, every single thing has a unique name variable based on its position.
Mm-hmm.
Everything has a unique name. You can call anything anywhere. It's pretty great. Anyways.
Yeah. So you just set this with on each object, and then you can call each object and look at its position, and then like look at its name, and if its position plus its name is equal to that, then bam.
Anyways, that's a little bit of a tangent, but really cool. Try it.
Yeah. So this concludes basically everything you need to know about Multibrains. There's more complex things that use arrays, but that is outside the scope of what we'll cover. User Mescad, look him up on YouTube. Most of the community knows who Mescad is because why wouldn't you? But he's going to do something on arrays, which is like even more complex than anything we've covered. I hope after watching part 1, though, and part 2, you guys can understand that, yes, there's a lot to Multibrains, but they really help you organize and do a lot more stuff than trying to stick with Booleans and other variables that don't have to do with brains. They may seem scary at first. The more you practice with it, the easier it is, and the more fun you have with it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys. I hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah. And we will be back on Thursday, 3 p.m. So thanks, everyone.
What's the outro?
Yes.
Yeah.
Create your game as you play? Any Spark can do it. Spark, activate the portals.